Cooper Kupp is out for the Rams season opener. Julio Urias is placed on paid administrative leave, and Caleb Williams' father says the USC quarterback might not declare for the NFL draft. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos Morning Report. It is September 7th, 2023. It is glorious. I'm going to go outside and get a little bit of sun. But until I do, let's brighten the mood and talk some LA sports. If you'd like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know it exists. And by all means, comment. There's always fascinating stuff that's going on in LA sports. So before we go through the news and notes, look at the scoreboard. Yes, it was an ass kicking. Miami 11, Dodgers 4. We do not deny the ass kickings here in LA, but we also don't go overboard with them. Yes, the Dodgers have lost 5 of 6. Hell no, I'm not worried. The Dodgers have slumped in September before under Dave Roberts and still reached the World Series. They're ahead by miles in the NL West. For all we know, they're just throwing random arms out there until they figure out what to do with their rotation for the postseason. Talk to me when the playoffs start. Then I might be concerned. Meanwhile, today, the Dodgers are at the Marlins again at 3:30. Ryan Pepiot is 1-0 with a 1.29 ERA. Braxton Garrett, 8-5 with a 3.6 ERA. The Sparks are in New York at 4. LA is technically still in control of its own destiny for the final WNBA playoff spot, but the Sparks still have to win their final 2 games. In and of itself, a tall order for this group. Let's get to the news. Cooper Kupp is out week 1 in Seattle, which is not good. At least Sean McVay did not keep us in suspense like a bunch of idiots saying, oh, it's a game time decision. He didn't Bill Belichick the whole thing. He just admitted what was going on. Now, to recap, Kupp originally damaged a hamstring in early August. He spent a few weeks on the sideline, tried to give it a go, and when it didn't go, they put him on a plane to go to Minnesota to get looked at by different doctors. Minnesota. So for all we know, he's at a hot topic in the Mall of America. Big whoops. But what's particularly troubling about this injury is they still don't know exactly what it is. Is it soft tissue? In other words, the muscle on the back of your leg, the actual hamstring muscle. Or is it from the nerve which supplies the energy to that particular muscle? They don't know. Now, McVay said Kupp might have to go on injured reserve. Such a move would sideline him for 4 weeks. These unanswered questions bring up a variety of dilemmas for the Rams, short-term and long-term. For example, we'll go short-term first. Who does Matthew Stafford throw to? You remember Cooper Kupp was put on injured reserve for the rest of the year about halfway through the 2022 season. Stafford targeted Kupp almost 1/3 of the time whenever he would throw last year. Who makes up for that gap? Secondly, you can't just sit there and say next man up with Cooper Kupp. Look at it. Kupp is more the heartbeat of the offense than Stafford is. You see, what the Rams like to do is they like to play out of a compressed offensive set. And what is compressed? It means the wide receivers, instead of going out hash mark to hash mark, sideline to sideline, they play in really close to the offensive line. They ask their receivers to multitask from that alignment. What does that mean? Well, you take a guy like Cooper Kupp. You line him up in the slot. He runs in motion behind the line of scrimmage. He can either A, get a good head of steam so that he can block after the snap and create a running lane, or he could actually take the handoff itself and run and try to carry on a jet sweep. The receivers multitask, and Kupp excelled at everything. Not only did he win the Triple Crown 2 seasons ago for receiving yards, catches, and touchdowns, he is actually critical to the success of the running game. And so you have to ask yourself, Who else does all that on the Rams roster right now in the wide receiver room? I don't believe Van Jefferson does. I really don't. I don't think you're going to line him up in the slot. Ben Skowronek might have been limited to special teams, but he does block, but he has trouble catching the ball. So there's a problem there. What about Tutu Atwell? He can play the slot. He's quick. You can see him running a jet sweep, but he's shorter than I am, smaller than I am. Do you see him taking on a linebacker to open up a running lane? I don't. Maybe rookie Puka Nacua is fearless. We don't know these answers. And that's all in the short term. What about the long term? The Rams might have to make a decision on putting Kupp on injured reserve really quickly. It's not retroactive like in Major League Baseball. If a pitcher was injured for a few days, you just call it Major League Baseball and instead just backtrack it. You don't have that option in football. The clock starts the moment you put a player on injured reserve. And this matters a lot. You consider, again, the case of Van Jefferson. Last season, Van Jefferson was still on the mend from knee surgery when the season started. The Rams thought he would be ready in week 2. They were wrong, so they put him on injured reserve. Guess when he was available to play? Week 7. So let's say the Rams put him on injured reserve and they start off the season 0-4. They're toast. Straight and simple. They're toast. But do they have to put him on injured reserve? Because maybe they find out a week or 2 from now that he should have been on injured reserve and then he's out until week 7 or 8. That is a massive question that the Rams have to answer. Something that has allegedly been answered is Matthew Stafford has downplayed his wife narking on the Rams locker room for her podcast. She recounted how Hubs feels when he can't connect with his younger teammates, that they're all glued to their cell phones instead of doing bonding things like playing cards or video games or whatever. Stafford said no, that wasn't a big deal, that he loves coming into work with the newbies and that he didn't have to speak in front of his teammates, address them about the thing. Maybe it's quashed, maybe it isn't. But as a side note, can we get women to stop referring to their spouses as hubs? If I can't talk about my wife's hubs, am I right? Am I right? McVay finally added that reserve quarterback Stetson Bennett might not be available for Sunday with a sore right shoulder. Brett Ripien might get called up on Sunday instead. Meanwhile, Julio Urias, as originally forecast by the LA Times, was placed on paid administrative leave in the wake of his domestic violence arrest over the weekend. He was placed on administrative leave yesterday. The Players Association agreed to the move. The leave usually lasts about a week, but it can get extended. The Dodgers are also now allowed to replace him. That's why Ryan Pepio is making the spot start today. Now, the fallout from this is still wafting around like somebody letting one rip during a wedding. Maybe you thought the Dodgers would consider moving Walker Buehler's rehab up to fill a spot. Dave Roberts quashed that idea. Buehler will still make his second minor league start in his recovery from a second Tommy John surgery on Friday. He's not coming to LA yet. Meanwhile, authorities are extremely tight-lipped about the investigation. They did not answer questions from the press. They simply said they are investigating. So we still don't know. I do not buy the following story at all. But reporting these stories are part of this gig. So here goes. Caleb Williams' father told GQ magazine the Heisman Trophy winner is no lock to go to the NFL draft at the conclusion of the season. Now, Carl Williams' rationale makes sense, and it's a long quote. Bear with me. Quote, "The funky thing about the NFL draft process is he'd almost be better off not being drafted than being drafted first. The system is completely backwards. The way the system is constructed, you go to the worst possible situation, the worst possible team, the worst organization in the league, because of their desire for parity, gets the first pick. I've talked to Archie Manning. His career was shot because he went to a horrible organization. I've talked to Lincoln Riley, and Kyler Murray struggled because of where he was drafted. Baker Mayfield struggled mightily because of where he was drafted. The organizations matter, unquote. Now, sounds fair, sounds logical, but I got to push back on that a little bit. Kyler Murray is struggling because he likes Call of Duty more than studying game film. Let's be real. And I do not put any faith in quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield when they have arrest records. You should be in the film room, not out trying to get in, mix it up with the cops, right? Name me one successful quarterback with a rap sheet. Organizations, yes, they do matter, but so do your addiction to PlayStations and handcuffs. It's being a quarterback or running the streets, one or the other. You can't do both. Now, ESPN took things a step further. Who would be in the running to draft Caleb Williams? They ran the NFL seasons over and over and over through a computer simulator. Who is most in line to get the #1 pick in next year's draft? The computer spit out 4 teams: Arizona, Las Vegas, New Orleans, and Dallas. Yeah, you heard me, not the Rams, Dallas. So the question would be, in that scenario, who would Williams give the thumbs up to? I have no idea. The Galaxy have either completed or continued the restructuring in the aftermath of firing team president Chris Klein. They promoted Tom Braun to president of business operations and chief operating officer. What this move ultimately amounts to, simply put, it's a split of the business side of the franchise from the on-field product. Under Chris Klein, who was the target of a fan boycott since the start of the season until the franchise said to hell with it and got rid of him, all aspects of the Galaxy organization flowed up to Chris Klein as if he was some sort of deity, a grand poobah. Financial issues, ticket sales, players, jersey sponsorships, arena sponsorships, the academy, the janitor. Everything flowed under Chris Klein. The Galaxy won 5 MLS Cups, and yet Chris Klein treated it as if he were the sole proprietor of a Dunkin' Donuts franchise. Everything went through him. Now, you can easily imagine, you don't have to go to college for business administration to see how this would create problems. It's a bottleneck where legitimate issues don't get solved because one man has too much power, too many hats to wear, and because he doesn't address those problems, they simply fall by the wayside. So the Galaxy eliminated the job as president. They will not have one. Braun, again, the business guy, will report directly to the CEO of Anschutz Entertainment Group, which owns both the Galaxy and LA Kings. Now, as for the players' side, the rosters, for the big club and for its academy, all of that falls on the shoulders of current Galaxy manager Greg Vanney, who will be assisted by Senior Vice President of Player Personnel Will Kuntz. Vanney reports directly to the CEO of AEG. 2 guys reporting to the CEO of AEG, ASAP, womp womp. Now look, I'll be real with you. This is not an ideal arrangement, in my opinion. Because now Greg Vanney is the guy who has too much power, wears too many hats, has too many responsibilities. Imagine Dave Roberts of the Dodgers not just managing the Dodgers, but being responsible for every minor league player's development, the scouting department, the analytics. That's too much. One man can't do it all. In my arrogant little opinion, the Galaxy need to hire at least one more guy on the player personnel side, aside from Kuntz, because Kuntz is more of a financial wizard, salary caps, things like that. In my opinion, Vanney they need to hire one more guy as at least a sounding board for what Vanney wants, to try to figure out if it's actually the right call. And trust me, when it comes to my 2 cents, I have paid the Galaxy way more than 2 cents. They really should consider another guy on the sporting side. Sources have told the Galactic Tribune, which you can find on Substack, that a deal has been completed to send troubled Galaxy midfielder Efrain Alvarez to Club Tijuana in Liga MX. We talked about it a couple of days ago, about how it was about to happen. Apparently it's done. Now, a lot of people have gone on social media and they have said very nice things about Efrain Alvarez on the way out the door. Because Galaxy fans live by a credo. Once a G, always a G. And that's nice. It's nice. But I think the Galaxy fans are being way too forgiving. Let's be real about what Will Kuntz and Greg Vanney have done now that Chris Klein is gone. They have addressed problem after problem after problem after problem. They weren't deep. Kuntz and Vanney tried to solve that during the transfer window, despite the problems that Chris Klein caused. The club also put a lot of value and gave a lot of leeway to Alvarez. Vanney and Kuntz said, no, the line is done. You got to go. There's a reason for that. Efrain Alvarez is young. He can still revive his career. He simply didn't want to do it as a member of LA Galaxy. So there's that. Don't want to be mean about it. Not rooting against him. But the Galaxy fans are being extremely nice to the guy when they don't have to be. The Chargers are going to need every defensive back they can get this weekend against Miami. The Dolphins wide receiver core is likely the fastest in the NFL. Cornerback J.C. Jackson was not included in this week's injury report, which at this point of the week means all systems are go, which is great. Quote, I'm putting no limit on my knee. I'm ready, he said. Now recall, he was the big ticket free agent signee a year ago. He didn't contribute much because of multiple injuries last year, the latter being a torn patellar tendon in week 7 that ended his season. Still, another reason that he didn't help much last year may have been schematic. He came from the New England Patriots. The Patriots play a lot of man-to-man defense. The Chargers are all zone. So we'll have to find out now if he actually is a schematic fit, not just whether or not he's fit. NFL executives were polled by The Athletic, ranked the teams in the AFC. They slotted the Chargers sixth. Basically, they are not convinced that the team's defense will improve. Among executives who like them, one predicted that the Bolts will be winning shootouts, quote, banking on that offense to hang 30, unquote. It's no secret that I think Austin Eckler is the most overrated running back in football, but make no mistake, he's still important to the Chargers. Replaceable? Damn straight, but important. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore said, quote, Austin is the guy. Certainly, we feel really confident about Austin. As the season goes on, we'll sprinkle those other guys in, and every game will be a little bit different as to the way those rotations roll. Roll? Okay. But certainly, Austin is number one, unquote. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me about Caleb Williams possibly missing this upcoming NFL draft, or how the Rams survive without Cooper Kupp, or what the Dodgers do without Julio Urias. And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.